Hello folks, this is Killer Be Killed here, bringing you my Exalted Darkness deck in Magic the Gathering 2013, Duels of the Planewalkers. My build is not an aggro build. I'm not going to drop a bunch of 1-2 mana creatures and continually attack with Exalted. I like a more controlled, slower paced build. It does drag the games out, but what I want to do is get down a Worship or a No Mercy. Basically want to lock the board down. So you'll see what my deck looks like here in a second. I think this deck has a lot more utility. It has a combination of artifacts, enchantments, removal, lifelink, unblock, creatures that are unblockable. There's flyers. Has a lot of stuff. You'll see there's 18 2-drops in here, 9 3-drops. So again, we have a low mana curve. Also, one thing to note, I have 2 Evolving Wilds in there because if you look on the bottom right, you'll see there's 12 swamps and 8 plains. So it can be difficult sometimes to get plains, so we gotta put a couple Evolving Wilds in there. They're mainly there for that, to grab white mana when needed. So if you notice, this deck only has 22 total land cards if you count the Evolving Wilds, whereas all the other decks, when you run 60, 61 cards, they have 25. So this deck is probably a little better. A lot of people are upset that you can't control how much land's in your deck. This deck actually has a little bit less land, so that's actually a good thing. Tormented Soul, he's in there just because he's unblockable. If you have a couple Exalted creatures out there and you swing with him, he can't be blocked and he pumps up. So that kind of helps there. And obviously the Aven Squire, for 2 mana, 1/1's not great, but since it's Exalted and it has some evasion and that it's flying, that becomes a very nice 2-drop. It buffs up your other Exalted creatures, or again, if they can't block flying, you can just keep swinging. Child of the Night, he stays there because, well, lifelink, pretty much. Kind of, whenever I have creatures in there, I usually want them to do something. If creatures don't really do anything, then generally don't include them. Demonic Tutor, obviously, when I use that, I'm looking to grab a Worship or a No Mercy or a Silent Arbiter, something along those lines. That's how I play this game. I have a lot of removal. I want to control the board. You can even take a lot of hits in the beginning of the game, because if you have that Worship out there, well, you can't die if you have a creature. So there's a lot, there's a lot of things, a lot of ways to play this deck. But again, you can't always expect just to get a Worship. You have to have other ways to win. That's why we have a few enchantments. Doomblades, I don't run all 3. And the only reason for that is when I end up playing Liliana, I have 3 cards out of 60 that kind of are useless. They're not fully useless. Like if Liliana wanted to use the Tendrils on one of my white creatures, I could kill it, so Liliana doesn't get life gain. But other than that, it's pretty much a useless card against black. So I only run 2 out of the 3, and I throw in 1 Pacifism, as you'll see in my deck in a second. Generally, murdering a creature is better than Pacifism, because if you're playing blue, they can unsummon it and recast it, and it's just... So, but all in all, I think 1... Just in case I'm playing Liliana, I'd rather have 1 enchantment instead of the 2 Doomblades, just because Liliana can't unsummon a creature, so... the Knight of Glory, Knight of Infamy, protection from black, protection from white. You can use them as fog banks. You can use them to attack unblockably. Those cards are absolutely phenomenal in 1v1 against Peacekeepers, the Life deck, Exalted, or even Liliana. So it's something you want to watch out for. I actually have both Pacifisms in there. I didn't realize that at this point. But again, it's about slowing it. I want to stall, control the board, and that's basically what this deck is meant to do. You see the Spirit Mantles there. A lot of people don't like them because if I put it on a creature and the creature gets removed, then, well, I got 2 for 1. But for the most part, what I'm trying to do with this deck is lock the board down. And I want creature to have protection from creatures. It's like a poor man's Whisper Silk Cloak. I have 2 of those in here as well. I like my creatures to be unblockable. I want you not to be able to kill me, but I want to be able to inflict damage on you. So the 2 Whisper Silk Cloaks, the Spirit Mantle, the Tormented Soul, that's why they're in there. Just because they can swing without being blocked. Mortify, obviously that's an instant. You can destroy a creature or an enchantment, which makes that very valuable. Pillory of the Sleepless is just, well, more like a Pacifism pumped up, in that it does 1 damage a turn. Royal Assassin is an absolutely phenomenal card. Anytime an enemy attacks you, their card essentially taps during the attack phase. It turns sideways, so you can actually destroy a card every turn. That's a wonderful card right there. Again, we see a couple Unmakes there. I really like Unmakes better than the Doomblade. They cost 1 more mana to cast, but there are a lot of pros to them in the sense you don't have the color restriction. You can target black creatures. And if you notice that the mana is black and white, if you have a Deathbringer Liege out there, basically you can destroy 2 creatures when you cast one of those. So you get 2 for the price of 1. Vindicate is awesome. There's 2 of them in there. Those can be used to destroy Panoptic Mirrors, enchantments, anything, land, whatever's out there, they can destroy. It says destroy target permanent. Whisper Silk Cloak, obviously, you know, gives your creature shroud, protects them, makes them unblockable. That's nice. No Mercy. This is one of our money cards. Anytime a creature is attacking you or does any damage to you, you can let it come through and it dies. Great against aggro decks. You know, a couple goblins attack you, they just keep dying over and over again. And, you know, so it'll actually stall the enemy for a few turns. And, like, Liliana has really no removal for enchantment. So if you need a couple enchantments out against Obedient Dead, you're in really, really good shape. This is another great card. No more than 1 creature can attack each combat, and no more than 1 creature can block each combat. So really, I want to control the board. I have 2 of these. I have a No Mercy. I have a Worship. I have a Demonic Tutor, which allows me to go through my deck and select one of these, whichever one I think is better at the time. In most cases, it'll be a Worship. But Sublime Archangel. Other creatures in control have Exalted. A little known fact is when your creatures already have Exalted, this doubles it. So if I have 3 Exalted creatures out there, they now have double Exalted. So the pump doubles on the creature that I'm attacking with. So that's a phenomenal card. And again, obviously Worship, probably the strongest card in your deck. I mean, it could be removed by an Indrix from the green deck or some other decks, but this really locks down a lot of decks. For 4 mana, it's a great card. You really want to have this in your hand if you can. If not, you know, you want to get a No Mercy or a Silent Arbiter. You have other ways to win besides this card. It's not just about this card, but you have enough stall to get this card at least 1 out of every 2 games, guaranteed. Because you have 2 ways of getting it, and you should be able to last a while with this deck with blockers and stall. Battle Grace Angel just gives your creatures lifelink. That's another thing with this deck. We have a couple lifelink cards. So even if you're stalling and prolonging a game and you're in a stalemate, well, at least your life's going up. Deathbringer Liege, absolute phenomenal card in this. Other creatures you control, they all get +1/+1, your black and your white creatures. And like I said, when you cast something like an Unmake, it is a considered a black and a white spell. So the bottom thing is you get to tap and destroy a creature in the same turn. Make sure you choose to tap the same creature you choose to destroy, because it makes you click destroy before tap because of the way the order resolves. Divinity of Pride, basically because it has evasion, it's flying, and it has lifelink, I keep it there. Otherwise, for 5 mana, 4/4 is not too great. Though if your life does pump up, you know, it becomes an 8/8. And Debtors, no, that's the reason I don't run like 2 Deathbringer Lieges, 2 Divinities, and things like that, because I'm playing a lot of stall and I want to get my creatures out there, and I'm basically, the game's gonna last a while. This isn't gonna be a quick game. I'm not gonna win quick, so I can get to the Debtors now quite easily. Not really a problem most games. Angel of Despair, a little costly for a 5/5 flyer. I mean, you do get a destroy target permanent with it, so it's kind of not too bad. I mean, you can destroy an artifact, an enchantment, a land, anything, but a little expensive for what I want. Nephrox, Overlord of Griffix, again, it's not a bad card. You know, every time you swing, the opponent has to destroy a creature, which is good for what we're trying to do, but a little costly, I think, for what I want. Divinity of Pride, I think I have enough with 1. It's a decent card. Deathbringer Liege, this is probably a card. I could probably add a second one of this one into my deck. Give myself 2 of these to go up to 61 cards, because that's a good card. Even this card is decent, Exalted Haste, but it just, I'm not running a Goblin deck. I'm not trying to launch a creature out there and kill you. If I was running the aggro kind of Exalted, I'd put that Haste card in there, but I'm not. So, and again, Angelic Benediction, 4 mana, it's just too costly, I think, for what I want to do. There's many other better cards, and I actually see that Unmake. I think I actually remove a card and throw that Unmake in at some point during this video. I didn't realize I didn't have all 3 out there. I take out one of the pacifisms. That's why I was confused earlier when I said I had both pacifisms in there. I'd rather have that. I'd rather have the Unmake over the pacifism for the reasons already articulated. Mighty Leap. I'm not running an aggro deck, so I'm not looking to sneak attack and kill a creature, 1 creature. That's not what this deck's about. Mark of Asylum's great if you're playing Chandra, or it can stop a Goblin Grenade from killing your creatures, or Tendrils of Corruption, but other than that, it has limited utility. If I was in a tournament and I knew someone could possibly play Born of Flame or something, yeah, I'm definitely going to throw it in my deck, because I don't want Chandra being able to do any damage to my creatures. So, but other than that, it just, out of the 9 of the decks, it's not very, very useful. So, and Duty Bound Dead, they're not too bad of a card for a 1-drop, because you could actually swing with it. But other than that, I just don't have the room. I'd rather have the Aven Squires and things of that nature. So again, this Exalted deck, you want to lock the board down, a lot of control. You're basically a control freak if you're using this build. You have protection from colors, you can destroy artifacts, enchantments. You make it so the enemy can't attack, and you have a lot of stuff going on with this deck. I think you'll